Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, it is not just the Americans that are holding their breath for the elections that are taking place today. It is not even just all the vested interests around the world. The Nigerian society is also holding its breath for the elections that is taking place in America today, and especially the Yoruba race. They are holding their breath for the elections that is taking place in America today, because all of the hope of the Yoruba race is pinned on a possible return of Donald Trump to then come and rescue us from the Janjaweeds. Because of course, if Joe Biden wins, Joe Biden effectively is Barack Obama Mark II, and he will just now continue to sell us to the Arabs as Barack Obama did. Guys, I bring you this. Restructuring, Yoruba group condemns Buhari's stance, seeks UN-US support for secession. So the Yoruba race are finally at that bus stop where they have had enough, and the tipping point, of course, would be what happened in Lekki Toll Gate. You all know the narrative, so I don't have to repeat it. And we have now reached that tipping point that the wait for 2023 is now just too far, and it needs to happen and happen now, as again, restructuring Yoruba group condemns Buhari's stance, seeks UN-US support for secession. So now let's now see what the Oduduwa group has to say. Yoruba Coalition in Diaspora, Yoruba One Voice YOV, has expressed concerns over the insensitive response of President Muhammadu Buhari to calls for restructuring. YOV announced that Yorubas may be pushed to secede from Nigeria. The spokesman, Zacchaeus Somorin, so I'm not quite sure how Yoruba that name is. The spokesman Zacchaeus Somoni, in a statement on Tuesday, appealed to the members and organizations to commence the framework for the review of the country's structure. The reaction was a reply to comments by presidential spokesman Garba Shehu that Buhari would not succumb to threats and undue pressure regarding devolution of powers. Prominent Nigerians and groups including Ohaneze Indigbo, Afenifere, Southern and Middle Belt Forum, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, Professor Wole Soyinka, Are Gani Adams, amongst others, have reiterated their calls, and Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State and Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State on November the 1st added their voice. YOV said despite the fact the ruling All Progressive Congress APC and President Buhari rode on the wings of agitation in 2015 to earn votes, his body language shows that he's not in full support. We expected that this administration will collate, digest and present assurances to Nigerians that President Buhari will do the needful by rebuilding the country towards inclusivity on the altar of restructuring, but the government had other ideas wrapped in uncouth language. But Nigerians will not be shut down from making their point, even in the face of threats. For a nation of over 200 million people, the incidents of the past few weeks should have taught us that if any civil war happens in Nigeria, the casualties will be huge. That is why we are urging the United Kingdom, the US Congress, the Commonwealth, the British Parliament, and other international bodies to superintend over the peaceful dissolution of the country. Somori stated that the YOV has placed the United Nations UN, the African Union AU, on notice about their intentions. He said the Yoruba glory will be trampled upon based on how Nigeria is presently structured. It is clear that the current leadership of Nigeria is not, and has never been, committed to the fundamental objectives and directives of the principles of statehood, policies of federalism as enshrined in Chapter 2 of the Constitution that it derived its powers from. Our people are tired of terrorism, insecurity, hopelessness, injustice, killings, unemployment, inequality, corruption, scandals, violence, oppression, extortion, and assault. Our people are entitled to their inherent, inalienable right to self-determination and dignity of their persons in accordance with Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human and People Rights of 1948, Article 20 of the African Charter on Human and People Rights, Article 1 of the International Convention Civil and Political Rights, and the International Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So, of course, to law that the Yorubas will go, because the Yorubas, of course, the Yoruba man is, I wouldn't say cowardly or even timid, but they choose other options apart from aggression. So, they know that all of these people, the Malamis, they control all of the guns. So they are not going to go at them, obviously, with force and aggression, because, of course, you are completely outgunned if you go after the Malamis with aggression and force, like some people are doing. I'm not going to mention any names, but we know that some quarters, they like to do just aggression, aggression, aggression. But what the Yorubas are doing, and you can see that this is a second step now in a well thought out plan. First, we had the demonstrations in the southern parts, which was Lagos, Oyo, Delta, etc., and some parts of Igbo land as well. So that was the first move of the Yoruba people, this peaceful demonstration. And like the predictable elements that they are, the Fulanis are responded with force, and we saw what happened at toll gate Lekki. So that, of course, has now been flashed up internationally. So off the back of now that international empathy now that is weighing against the Malami governance of Nigeria, the Yorubas have now come out to the United Nations, the United Kingdoms, and the key players internationally to say, look, you have seen what is happening, and you are aware of what has been happening prior to that. So we are now at that point where we need, this is an existential threat now to the Yoruba race. It's essentially what the narrative is now. So whatever it is that configured that entity to emerge it as Nigeria, they want it untangled because it does not now work for the Yoruba people. This is now the narrative that we're presenting to the international community, because as I have always said, and I will always say, the battle to rescue the Yorubas, and by extension the Igbos and anybody that feels they want out of the Nigerian experiment, the battle to rescue yourself from the clutches of the Malamis has to be fought on an international stage, because if you try to have that battle within the Nigerian space, they will just overwhelm you, either pick you off one by one and just have you disappeared, or they just continue. I mean, you've seen what happened. The Lekki happened, and then it's happening in Calabar now, I think, wherever Wike is governor, and it happens all the time. Anytime you try to assert for a change, they just weigh down at you from the barracks, and of course we all know the price that's been paid for that. They've put Showore on city arrest. He's been imprisoned within the confines of Abuja for the audacity of insulting the president. So criticizing the regime is deemed as insulting the president. And that is the climate that we're living in now. And they are looking to hammer down on that approach, because Lai Mohammed, of course, now is now saying that he wants to shut down social media. So you can already see the direction of their travel. So you now have to make the determination on the direction of your travel. So the direction of travel now of the Yoruba people is now the green shoot of this secession, which has long been an Igbo echo, but the resonance is now reverberating within the Yoruba space. Conversations in the comment section. We want out the Yoruba people are now saying, then forget restructuring and forget blah, blah, blah. Don't even devolve power. We want out. You know, if the Yorubas can come out of Nigeria, and if we want a big country, the people in Togo, they are Yoruba, so we bring them in. The people in Benin Republic, they are Yoruba, so we bring them in. They have a nice, lovely coastline and a beautiful, so we can build from there. So if we want that mass number, we can still get that mass number, but with people of our own orientation, and there's nothing wrong with that. England is made up essentially of the English. France is made up essentially of the French. China is almost exclusively Chinese, and India is entirely Indian people. So Yoruba land cannot be part Yoruba, part Hausa, part Fulani, etc. Especially when the mix has been experimented for in excess of 60 years, and we have found it wanting. Come share thoughts about all this with me in the comment section, but before you come share those thoughts, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on like as well, because that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Once you've done all the clickings, come join me then at the Yorubas Want Out, what says you. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.